Okay, welcome to the next poem by Dobson, The Tiger. This one's quite short. It's quite a nice contained extended metaphor. It's quite a nice contained image as well. So let's get straight into it. Then we'll do some brief analysis and we'll leave you with some questions to answer before you come to class to analyze it. So here we go. The Tiger. The tiger paces up and down behind the black bars of the page. He pads on silent, angry feet. His heart is smouldering with rage. Captive within the lines of type, he seeks and yet can never find the world where he was free to range. He is the poet's furious mind. His are the unblinking eyes that stare into the gold heart of the sun. He rakes the sky of stars and hunts the darkness down and is not done. His was the world to roam, who now is captive to the black-barred page. Reader, unlock the lines and face the splendid danger of his rage. Okay, so hopefully you got on the first reading that this is a poem about a tiger. Obviously, the tiger is a bit of a metaphor for something. Before we dive into that, have a think it, pause it here and see if you can think, what is the tiger a metaphor for? What is this poem about? Okay, now hopefully you've paused it and had to think about that. We're going to dive in. So we'll start with some structural things. This poem by Dobson actually has a really strong structure, quite a traditional structure as well, and a solid rhyme scheme. Also not typical of Dobson's poetry so far, so it's worth recognizing. Briefly, an iamb is a metric foot which goes one unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. That just means that the words have a rhythm, a pattern that goes da-dum, 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 where it's unstressed first and then stressed afterwards. Da-dum. So this poem has 4 iambs or 4 feet, 4 da-dums per line, and it's called iambic tetrameter. So I'll show you. The first line goes, the tiger paces up and down. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. And every line works like that, behind the black bars of the page. He pads on silent, angry feet. His heart is smouldering with rage. So, question for you. How does having a steady rhythm change the impact of this poem on the reader? I'd also like you to figure out the rhyme scheme. It's fairly straightforward. You should just go down. The lines are at the end. The rhymes are at the end of the line. It's pretty straightforward. It's not A, B, A, B or A, A, B, B. You can figure it out. So, the tiger. In stanza 1, how is the tiger characterized? Look at the adjectives. What's he doing? And what does he represent then? What is he an extended metaphor for? Dobson actually tells us in stanza 2. So, if you haven't got it yet, we will get it together. All right, so the tiger paces up and down, seems pretty straightforward. Behind the black bars of the page. Page seems like a funny word choice, but it does rhyme with something else that has black bars. So black bars has a double meaning here, and page obviously rhymes with cage. He pads on silent, angry feet. Pads could potentially have a double meaning here as well, not just the way a cat walks or stalks, but also something else to do with writing. His heart is smouldering with rage. Imagine a person for a second just silently smouldering with rage. It's an easy line to just skip past. You're like, oh yeah, smouldering with rage. But imagine someone, they're angry but contained. They're really frustrated. If you're smouldering with rage silently, you're really frustrated. Okay, second stanza. Captive within the lines of type. Type meaning writing here. He seeks and yet can never find the world where he was free to range. He is the poet's furious mind. Okay, so the tiger is the poet's furious mind. Presumably in this poem as well as others. So why would the writer's mind be furious at being trapped within words, trapped within the lines of type? So where or what is the world where he was free to range? If the tiger is the poet's furious mind, how is the poet's furious mind free to range somewhere and then trapped within the lines of type. What does that mean? Okay, before we go on, this poem, like many others, is full of consonants and assonants, so especially alliteration. So behind the black bars. Later on, we have, where is it? Darkness down and is not done in this third stanza. I'd like you to find all the examples you can in this poem. Pause it if you need to. Okay, so analyzing stanza 3 quickly. A similar question to what is the world where he was free to range? What is the world the mind is free to range in? What does it mean for the tiger to have unblinking eyes that stare into the gold heart of the sun? If the mind is able to range freely and stare unblinking into the golden heart of the sun, rake the sky of stars and hunt the darkness down, what is it doing? What does that mean? Have a think about that before we come to class. Not only what is it doing, but why is it so furious? Why is it characterized as a tiger? Why is it so insatiable? It's hunting the sky of stars, it hunts the darkness down, but it's never done. Okay, quick nod to form for this fourth stanza. His was the world to roam, who now is captive to the black-barred page. You should notice a kind of bookending. This last stanza very much mirrors the first stanza. So we have page and rage again, as well as another couple of words repeated from earlier in the poem. So summing up with this stanza. So, his was the world to roam, who now is captive to the black-barred page. If something to do with the poet's mind is now captive to the black-barred page, the black bars being the lines of writing, what does it mean that the thought is now captive to the black-barred page, or it's furiously pacing behind the words that it's trapped in? So, what does this command, reader, unlock the lines, ask us to do? And is it possible? Can we really unlock the lines? So given that the tiger is a metaphor for an idea in the poet's mind, why would Dobson choose to characterize the tiger as splendidly dangerous and raging? Okay, I'm going to leave you there. We're going to have a couple of questions to think about before we come into class, as well as the ones that I've talked to you about. So, questions. What is the meaning of this poem? I'd like you to try and sum up in writing what Dobson is trying to say with as much nuance as possible. Be specific. And how is this message a reflection, a repetition, or a rephrasing, maybe a reframing of the messages in her previous poems? What is the central concern, and how does it mirror her concern in other poems? What is the frustration here, the central frustration of this poem, and how is that mirrored in other poems? All right, I'll see you in class.